Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the EKN Debrief, episode number 30, August the 7th, 2018. Hello, my name is Rob Howden, joined as always by David Cole. We are looking at the USPKS event, the Hoosier Grand Prix, the United States Pro Kart Series finale, Newcastle Motorsports Park in Newcastle, Indiana. David was there. They did the coverage all weekend long, and we're going to break it down. We're going to let David kind of fill us in on what happened on the track, in the paddock, and we'll look forward to more of the stuff that's happening here in 2018. Today's show is being presented by IAME USA. IAME USA is the importer and distributor of the hottest two-cycle engine program in American karting, featuring the X30, KA100, and Swift engines, which can be found at club, regional, and national racing events from coast to coast. IAME USA's dedication to quality and customer service is second to none. IAME is also a proud supporter of programs such as the USPKS, WK Manufacturers Cup, F-Series Gear Up Challenge, and the SuperKarts USA Pro Tour Winter Series and Pro Kart Challenges. David, speaking of the USPKS, their finale, first and foremost, dropping down to a 3-event program this year. This was a finale. It seemed like this was a really good approach by Mark Coates and the crew here for 2018.
It was. That's something we've talked about throughout the season, is the number of races that we have here on the eastern side of the country. There's from January to December, there's racing nearly every weekend somewhere, whether it be regional, club, or national. So it's a very packed schedule, and especially with the USPKS kind of being the in-between, because it's not SCUSA, but it's not WK. They're kind of caught in the middle there. And rather than having the 4 events that they've typically had over the first 5 seasons, this year they decided to go with just 3. And I think it's really paid off in terms of people being able to pencil in the 3 events to their schedule, because they were at optimal times. Obviously, this weekend, this event was 2 weeks before Summer Nats. That helps, but also being in the summertime, it helps too. And then you add in the Ocala and GoPro events. I think it's kind of got a good mixture of different regions, different times in the year, and it obviously paid off with what they had was their best event of the year.
Yeah, I like the 3-event program, primarily because it does kind of mirror what the SuperKarts USA does with their Pro Tour, right? 3 races. Same with USPKS, 3 races. So if there's a guy who's a regional guy, he can run some regionals, run the Route 66 series if he wants, or whatever it may be. And then it's not that hard, as you said. You can pencil those 3 races in. And I think that was a great call. And I think it's a good move forward for USPKS, and obviously great to see them draw a bunch of entries as well. Now, as always, Dave, let's set the stage, paint the picture. What was the weather like?
It was
this time around?
Perfect weather conditions. It's
nice, right?
Nothing like what you've had in Texas or what we had in Phoenix. And it wasn't the on-off rain that we've seen at other events on the year. We did have a threat of some rain on Sunday. Luckily, that held off to the evening hours, but the weather conditions were perfect for racing. Not too warm. Sun was shining all day Saturday, and then obviously it came out for most of the day on Sunday till the clouds came over.
Dave, you mentioned that the race was a couple of weeks before what is this weekend coming up, the SCUSA Summer Nationals. Obviously, a great opportunity for drivers who are in that championship battle to get in there to the finale for the USPKS, the Hoosier Grand Prix, and get in there and get it done and go to get the championship. But at the same time, if you're in any of the IAME classes, you're tuning up for Summer Nats as well. It's actually just a really well positioned race for the series and for any of the drivers who are battling for a SCUSA championship as well.
Well, with USPKS being IAME only, certainly helps them being in the position they were 2 weeks before the Summer Nats. And as we get the entry list for the Summer Nats, we see a lot of the same people that were at USPKS are going to be there this weekend at Newcastle. So it's a long 2 weeks for some of the teams, but it's not bad to just drop the trailer off, come back a week later. It's a little bit easier than being there for either 14 straight days like some teams are doing with the test that they did this weekend. You have some teams that were there that just got there Friday and are going to be there until Monday. So some people like it that way, some people like it the other way, and there's not obviously a full consensus on which is best, but for USPKS, this obviously is working.
All right, let's focus on the USPKS for the rest of this broadcast, this podcast here. Dave, let's talk numbers. Let's do a breakdown of kind of the numbers we've seen, not only at Newcastle, but in USPKS on the whole through the entire season.
Well, as we said, this was their best event of the year, drawing 151 entries. It's the 7th largest event in series history, but it's really the best total they've ever had with only 7 classes, because previously they've had 8 or 9, or I believe 9 was the most they had at one time. It's the first time they've been over 150 marks since the 2016 opener that was at Newcastle. But the good thing is, overall, when you look at the big picture, they had double digits in all 7 classes for all 3 events.
Yeah, it's solid.
So that obviously shows there's a good quality there with the full IAME engine program between the micro, the mini, the X30, and then you add in the KA100 for senior and junior. It's a good mixture. And it seems to be a working thing, because there's a lot of kids that were in the KA100 that would typically be at the back of, say, X30, that were able to kind of, be able to race for wins. So I think that's the one thing the KA100 is doing, is allowing some of these club guys or regional guys to take the next step up and be able to learn a little bit better racecraft and be more consistent out there. But, overall, looking at the numbers, it was good to see IAME Senior at the 30 mark again. So it was twice this year that we had that, where last year it wasn't even close to 30. So there's an upswing in that. I think a lot of the junior kids that have moved up helped with that. Junior had its best record with 28, which is nearly double of what they had the whole rest of the year. Mini Swift was 24, which is about normal. Micro Swift at 15. Masters 18. That was the one thing I think that Mark really said was great to see, and because it was an add-on. Really, at the beginning of the year, they had some people that were interested in running the 3 races, because, again, like you said, it's a limited schedule, and it allows guys to travel to different places, and the Masters averaged 18 racers per event. So that's something they can build on too. And something they provided IAME ticket for. Mark and Eric Jones with IAME USA East got together and decided, you know what, we're going to award the Masters champion with an IAME International final ticket. So that was a good addition to the USPKS program for this season.
Yeah, David, we spoke a lot about how we believe that Masters is so important. You get a lot of people that think it's the junior categories that are more important in the sport, because if you build those junior categories up, then, you're going to see those guys eventually go into the senior classes. But when we're talking at the SCUSA Pro Tour level, or you're talking at the USPKS level, a lot of the times those young drivers are prepping themselves. They've got career aspirations, right? They're spending a lot of money on karting. They're good at it. They want to try cars, whether it's open wheel formula cars, they want to head into sports cars or stock cars, whatever it may be. A lot of the times they won't make it into the senior and then, of course, the Masters categories. And I've said, and I spoke about it many times, I don't like the juniorification of karting. It's something that always worries me, too much of a focus on juniors. Because, yeah, they're there. I would prefer to focus on seniors, because if you look at the history of karting, karting was essentially made for adults in the beginning. And when you have a really strong senior category and even Masters category where the young kids can look up and kind of admire, and some of their heroes are the badasses that are the top of the EKN rankings, because they're the best drivers in the country. I like that focus, and I also love having Masters, because, again, you just said, David, there's almost 20, right? 17, 18, and 18 entries in the 3 races. Very consistent for the Masters category. And I think it'll probably grow for 2019 now that it's established. And as you said, got a ticket to the IAME International Final as well. Real focus and support for the Masters classes.
It is. And you're right on the juniorification, because we're seeing a lot of these kids in open wheel cars right now that really should still be in junior class, or if not their first year in senior. And it's sad to see some of these kids just go there and kind of almost waste their talents in car racing, because really they're not going to go anywhere until they get that type of Lance Stroll or a Ferrucci money backing them up. I mean, that's really what it boils down to.
The funny thing too is, look at the drivers, the ex-karters, the graduated karters. Look at the guys who are having the most success, and how old are they? They're not 14. They're not 13. They're not even 15. The most success is the Oliver Askews, the Kyle Kirkwoods, the Dakota Dickersons, those guys that
Jake
kind of
Craig.
broke in. And Jake Craig, perfect example. Jake Craig.
He's old enough to drink, I think.
Kellen Ritter leading the points up in the Toyo F1600 series in Canada. And he's got Craig right behind him. Craig's what? Yeah, Craig's 21 or 20 or 21. And then you've got Kellen at 17. So you make your debut when you're an adult. Run a couple of races, at least a young adult. Run a couple of races, in senior, at least 1 or 2 years in senior. I believe you'll make a better transition into cars when you do that. And I think you probably agree with me as well.
Yeah, I mean, you see it in sports car racing as well too. There's no more phenoms anymore. There really isn't. The only phenoms you have are either a second generation driver because he has his name, or a guy with billions of dollars willing to take his kid wherever he can.
Agreed. All right, there's the overview. David Cole kind of breaking things down for us early here on the United States Pro Kart Series finale, the Hoosier Grand Prix that took place just a couple of weeks ago, Newcastle Motorsports Park. This is the EKN Debrief, episode number 30. Stick with us. When we come back on this side of the break, David's going to give us the paddock pass. Have a look inside the paddock, what happened off the racetrack at Newcastle.
When it comes to close racing, a professional program, and plenty of good old-fashioned fun, Midwest racers know the Route 66 Sprint Series is the place to be. With 3 classic old-school tracks left in the 2018 championship chase, the wheel-to-wheel action will be enough to satisfy anyone's adrenaline fix. In August 17th through 19th, visit the Concept Haulers Motor Speedway in Norway, Illinois is next up for the Route 66 Series. The series then heads to Dousman, Wisconsin, and the newly expanded Wolf Paving Raceway, home of the Badger Kart Club, for a September 7th through 9th event. Wrapping up the racing action will be an October 5th through 7th visit to the Mid-State Kart Club in Springfield, Illinois. And don't forget to mark your calendars for a championship banquet like no other when we cap it all off in Springfield, Illinois at the Crown Plaza on December 1st. There's a reason the Route 66 Series consistently has some of the biggest and best fields in karting. Come join the fun and find out for yourself. Get more info at Route66kartracing.com. That's Route66kartracing.com.
Introducing ePartrade, electronic performance and racing trade. ePartrade is the revolutionary new web-based, trade-only product sourcing platform that works 24/7 to connect performance parts suppliers with racing business professionals around the world. Find new products and technologies all year long, accessible everywhere, from anywhere, 24/7. ePartrade is the only product sourcing platform as innovative and fast-paced as the racing market itself. ePartrade is the fastest, most efficient, and cost-effective way to introduce new parts and services to the worldwide racing trade while they're red hot, allowing builders, race teams, retailers, engineers, and other verified racing businesses to access them from anywhere in the world, day or night. The world is changing, and we're changing with it. Welcome to the future. ePartrade, the global online platform for the performance and racing industry. Visit us at www.epartrade.com, or you can reach us at 323-870-9300.
Welcome back to episode number 30 of the EKN Debrief. My name is Rob Howden, joined as always by David Cole, who was trackside at the USPKS finale at Newcastle Motorsports Park. Time to jump into the Paddock Pass, presented by Rawlson Performance Group. At the Rawlson Performance Group, we strive for ultimate success. We're more than just an arrive and drive race team with countless wins at the national and regional level. Our focus is on complete driver development, and that's where the success is fueled. We combine one-on-one coaching, on-track instruction, and intensive data debriefing with unparalleled kart and engine prep. Our program will help you raise your game. We'll take you to the next level. If that's your goal, RPG needs to be your next move. All right, David Cole, let's talk Paddock Pass. Of course, lots going on. It's a USPKS finale. Championships on the line. Hardcore racing, prepping for the Summer Nationals. But, man, there's championships on the line, and people can get aggressive. Let's talk a little bit about what happened in the paddock. Give me a scoop.
Well, there wasn't too much going on in the paddock. Everybody was kind of really focused on what was going on during the weekend. Cool story was obviously CRG Nordam being there. making the trek up from Texas to get ready for the Summer Nationals, bringing their teams and drivers or their drivers up there to get ready. Brendan Baker being one of them, Tyler Maxton another, and a couple others as well. But the cool thing about it was Ewan Jeffrey from CRG Nordam was actually traveling between Newcastle and the G&J Kartway in Ohio for the Cup Karts North America event that was going on at the same time. So luckily they were racing at night. So we kind of came over to Newcastle during the morning hours and then hopped in a car and drove the 2 hours, I think, over into Ohio and hung out with, some of his CRG 4-cycle customers that he had racing on over there. So it was cool to see kind of him multitasking the weekend.
Yeah, that's a bit of dedication and some commitment. I like to see that because two, of course, different disciplines of the sport, both sprint, but you got the 2-cycle at USPKS and of course the Briggs 206 Operation Grassroots program, which is so popular at the Cup Karts North America event at G&J. That's I love it. I like the fact they went back and forth to make sure the CRG customers were happy. That's cool.
Yeah, it's the model that they're really trying to build here. It's something I drove last year, about a year ago, and really happy with the way it drove, and so they're really trying to build up that market for the CRG brand because obviously we know it's good in shifter, it's good in the tag, and so now they're trying to really build up the 4-cycle program here in the United States because we know over in Europe and Italy where they're building the CRG championship program that they have going on. It's really doing well over there.
Yeah, the Briggs Championship in Italy, very cool. Obviously, the jump from the CRG rental kart program, the for-hire rental kart racing program, then you jump into the Briggs 206 program, and then, of course, moving on from there if you want to. But, yeah, you and I both love seeing the 206, the Briggs program, kind of spread its wings throughout the world now internationally, and I think that it's just breaking down the barrier of entry. We can talk all day long about the fact that affordable engine package, which gives you a cheaper, brand new race ready package. That, of course, makes it even more affordable used package. It's great to see CRG on board with that. That's, I think, a big thing for the sport.
Yeah, though, and one real major topic that I kind of got into discussions with people throughout the weekend was obviously the pushback bumper. This being the second year that USPKS has been utilizing it, it obviously has its pros and cons. And one of the major cons that was pointed out right from the beginning was the non-avoidable contact on track causing a bumper to push in. Obviously, contact happens in racing. We know it. It will happen. But the problem is when the contact isn't worthy of a penalty, it's still a penalty because the bumper gets pushed in, or say a driver hit a curb, or people were trying to blame, I believe a couple weeks ago at South Bend, people were trying to blame a puddle. Going through a puddle pushed back the bumper. It's just people need to understand this is the downside of running these pushback bumpers. If there's contact and it gets pushed in, there's no way to say, oh well, that one was okay. You don't get a penalty. There's no possible way to do that until you review all the video footage that you bring in, and it makes it more of a pain in the ass to do. And it's a hassle. It really is, because it's plain and simple. It's like a no type deal with a bumper. It's either pushed in or it's not pushed in.
And the reason for it is because we have such horrible racecraft over the last couple of years. If people weren't driving like jackasses, we wouldn't have to go to the pushback bumper. So overall, though, David, are you seeing let's just start USPKS. We'll talk about this in the debrief for the Summer Nats as well next week. Is the USPKS seeing cleaner racing, and are they seeing better starts?
Well, the starts is the major reason of why they did this. We no longer see the guy from 20th trying to get to first in the first opening corner. We're no longer seeing that. Yeah. So that's good. We did have one issue in the final race for IME Junior where the guys just kind of, lost their heads and just kind of went all over the place, but it happens sometimes. But yeah, so we are seeing the cleaner start. So that's the one major plus of this. But again, the negative side of it is guys have to drive a little bit more cautious. So in the senior categories, it's not a big problem because we know the good drivers know how to drive. It's it's from 10th on back. That's where you see some of the crazy moves and not smart decisions type deals. But overall, the pushback bumper was to eliminate the start issues that we've had with the larger fields. And with IAME Pro being at 30 and we had no issues all weekend long, I think it goes to show that part of it does work.
Agreed. One of the things about USPKS, and this is probably the best time to bring it up as we wrap up the Paddock Pass here from their finale, Mark Coach and his crew, they have done a tremendous job year in and year out with their prize package. They've always put together an awesome trophy table for the end of the season. But man, just so much stuff up for grabs. And of course, you throw in the IAME International Finals tickets as well. Just a really cool deal, this USPKS.
It is, and this year the prizes and awards nearly totaled $70,000 that they gave away on the weekend. That included the 4 IAME tickets for senior, junior, mini, and masters. And as we said, masters was added the week of the event, thanks to IAME USA East for that. They had free entries for the 2019 season, free engines from IAME USA for both X30 and Mini and Micro. Parts were also awarded to some of the 4th and 5th place drivers, as well as MG tires. I think one of the coolest things that even one of the champions said was the coolest thing he got was a brand new grill that the series gave away, 1 grill per class. All the drivers who raced in all 3 events got thrown in a hat, and they were drawn randomly. So it could have been the 7th driver in the championship won a grill, or in one case, the champion actually won a grill. So that was probably one of the cooler prizes that I think a lot of people were talking about.
Yeah, a good side benefit when the series promoter owns a fireplace and barbecue grill shop.
Well,
right?
I think he even bribed some of his workers. He's like, "Hey, I'll give you a free grill if you come work for me." And I think that kind of happened with one guy. But as you said, the champion trophies, I mean, they were almost bigger than the micro drivers and almost heavier than the micro drivers. So that was one of the cool things, because it's a trophy that's big and obviously will not be one you can throw in the dumpster anytime soon.
I always say I like a championship trophy that you can't take on the plane with you home.
Yeah, this might be considered heavy and have to get the orange tag. And yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. All right. I hear you. That's a good.
Probably needs its own case.
Wow. Nice. All right, folks. That's the Paddock Pass. Some cool information, just kind of overview from David Cole. After this break, it's time to hit the race report. David's going to work his way through the categories, the racing at Newcastle Motorsports Park. So stick with us. We'll be right back.
Fresh off of 2 USPKS Drivers National Championships and the Team Championship, Nitro Kart has some very exciting news for the youngest racers just getting started. The all-new Nitro Kart Kid Kart. Now, beginning racers can enjoy the same kind of championship-winning performance as cadet kart drivers. Designed in the USA and manufactured in Italy, the Nitro Kart Kid Kart features the same premium quality and engineering you've come to expect from Nitro Kart. Kid Karts are in stock now, so order yours today.
Hi, this is Hayden Jones, Team Nitro Kart driver number 716 in KA100 Junior and X30 Junior. I just won my first national event, and I couldn't have done it without Nitro Kart support. Nitro Kart has a few arrive and drive spots open for the cadet classes at SCUSA Supernats. They helped me win, and they'll help you too. For details, contact Nick Tucker at 704-818-7868. Look forward to seeing you at the track.
Now let's hear what the experts have to say about Nitro Kart.
Nitro Kart! Race one or chase one!
Welcome back to episode number 30 of the EKN Debrief. Rob Howden alongside David Cole here on the EKN Radio Network. Of course, this show being presented by IAME USA. We're getting ready to rock and roll here to talk about race reports. So let's actually get to the wheel-to-wheel from the USPKS finale at Newcastle Motorsports Park. The race report today presented by TB Kart USA. Quality, innovation, and a commitment to success. That's TB Kart USA. As the importer for these Italian-built chassis, TB Kart USA has a full lineup of models for all categories, including their race-winning S55 chassis for Yamaha, KA100, and tag competition, and the S197 for shifter drivers. If you're a Briggs 206 racer, don't settle for anything less than a TB kart. Their purpose-built 4-cycle chassis is based on their proven TB kart S55 geometry and is racking up wins in Florida and beyond. TB Kart is also a leader in rental karts with many different models to choose from. For more information, check them out online at tbkartusa.com. All right, David, jump into the deep end. Let's kick things off with IAME Senior.
Well, IAME Senior was a near perfect weekend for Brandon Jarzakrak, who was able to win his third and fourth main events in a row to defend his championship. Saturday was a sweep over Alex Bertignoli and Austin Garrison, and what was a really great race between those three. It was the same story on Sunday. This time, Bertignoli broke up the perfect weekend, scoring the fast time in qualifying. Jarzakrak came back to win the pre-final and final to become the first repeat champion in USPKS IAME Pro history. Garrison ran second with Zach Holden actually joining in on the fun, completing the podium. That's cool.
Did the nickname come out at all? They call it, did you drop the money line for Jarzakrak?
No, the finishes were a little close, so there was no time to celebrate. Even on Saturday, I think that, he even said if I would have celebrated, I probably would have lost. So we didn't pull out money. We obviously did after the races and stuff like that, but Tim did say his hometown, and I know that's your favorite.
Oh, the Shillington slingshot.
There
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that. But you know what? Brandon's obviously just simply put one of the best single-speed kart racers in the country. And he's in that handful of guys that when you show up, if he's on his game, he's going to battle for race wins. What about IAME Junior? Again, we always like to see these young kids. They're kind of developing, hoping, as we said before, to see them eventually move to X30 Senior and jump into the primary spotlight. But give us a scoop on how IAME Junior shook down at Newcastle.
Well, I think the tallest driver we have in the paddock is Jeremy Fairburn. Yeah, he's running IAME Junior. So I think, he's on that cusp of moving up to the senior ranks. But he looked to have a near perfect weekend as well, too, in the category. He was a 2-time winner at GoPro, won both heat races on Saturday and the main event over Canadian Justin Arsenault and Luca Mars. Broken throttle, though, however, on Sunday cost him a chance at the fourth straight victory in the series. So he was out within the first opening lap. That allowed Luca Mars and Santiago Cristini. I can say it. I just hit a wall there. Sometimes it happens. It's like man. Racing indoor karts.
You can hit a wall every once in a while.
So those two were able to pull away, and Mars actually ended up winning the battle over Trezini. Nicholas Turaki placed third, which was able to allow him to secure the championship and the IAME ticket to join Jarzakrak in France.
Nice. Consistency always wins titles, baby.
No victories for Turlaki, but again, because it was a crazy season in the junior category. Obviously, with 28 drivers there in the finale, it was kind of anybody's game. But 2 podiums this season for Turlaki in his junior rookie season. So good way to finish up, and be interesting to see how he does in France.
Yeah, it's pretty darn impressive. I like to see that. And again, consistency, when you can come out and deliver, even if it's not race wins, if you're delivering, you're there for the whole program. Good on Turlecki for winning that.
And another championship for Merlin. I believe this is the 4th straight year that they've wrapped up the junior championship in the series. Easily
the most underrated chassis in the sport.
Oh, of course.
Would you agree with me? Like, it's just the amount of championships that Franklin Motorsports and Merlin chassis have won. You'd think that they'd be all over the country because they've won so many championships in the junior categories and even in the senior classes as well. So it's surprising to me that it doesn't have more momentum, the Merlin, but they just keep winning championships.
It's like Polish sausage. You kind of just gotta like the taste of it. Some people don't. I don't know.
Where the hell did
Wisconsin,
that come from?
Eh? Come on, Polish. Come on,
sausage.
I hear
you. It's a
brat. Yeah, Polish sausage.
It's a brat.
You got Lodge right here.
Super. Oh, yeah, super. Let's move on to Mini Swift, right?
See, you sound like a Youper. You got to sound more Wisconsin.
Oh, sorry. All right, Mini Swift. Hey, let me just hazard a guess. Did Brent Cruz score a win?
Yeah, he did actually. It is.
Not surprising.
It's not. Being the reigning IAME International Final champion, Cruz obviously is one of the top cadet drivers in the world. Him and Jace Park actually split the victories on the weekend. Cruz won Saturday in a close battle against his Nitro Kart teammate Sebastian NG, with Christian Miles making his Kart Republic debut, fighting back to third after winning heat number 1. Sunday was Cruz and Park at the front. Park got shuffled back early in the final, but was able to catch up back to Cruz. And the two went side by side for a photo finish at the line, with Park edging out Cruz for the victory. His first of the series, first career, I believe, and the first major karting series, I believe, as well, too. So it was a big win for Park and Jim Russell Jr. in the Parolin brand.
Yeah, Jace Park's one of those kids. I think we're really watching his development. It's one of those kind of meteoric things, right? He's just really picking things up. Of course, working with Jim Russell Jr., as you said, and it just seems like every time he's on track, he's just learning, getting quicker, and just kind of coming into his own here at the end of the season.
Well, I think it's just the simple case of the more you are on track, the more comfortable you become, and the more consistent you can be. He probably had a possible win on Saturday, was fighting Cruz early on in the day, but dropped a wheel in the first opening heat and just wasn't able to catch luck his way the rest of the day. But, again, I think obviously, people always say, well, it's the engine, it's the chassis. No, it's really the kid just being more comfortable and consistent with what they are able to do behind the wheel.
Agreed. So Jeremy Fletcher wins the battle for third on Sunday. Let's talk championship. Who was able to come away with the crown?
Well, as we talked about in junior, it was kind of consistency that won it in Mini Swift, with California driver Kai Sorensen able to secure the title and the IAME ticket, only standing on the podium once in the 6 races, but still consistency over the 6 races that they counted got him the title.
Very nice. Now, you mentioned IAME Masters and how they had some really consistent numbers throughout the season. I expect to see some great racing at the Summer Nats this weekend too in the Masters category. Let's talk Masters. Give us a scoop on who was the driver to beat in Masters at Newcastle.
Well, I think a guy you'll see this weekend that was up top at the USPKS was Scott Roberts. The Florida driver swept the day on Saturday. Took his second straight victory after scoring the victory on Sunday at GoPro. He was able to edge out Scott Kopp at the line with point leader Laurentiu Mardan of Technokart USA in the 3rd spot. Sunday kind of was the same thing, except this time Darren Marcus decided to join the fun, making his first master start, which has got to be hilarious for you.
Thanks a lot.
I mean, come on, think about it. When I first started helping you out with the magazine and the website, he was racing Super Pro in Jacksonville for first kart.
You're right. Oh, listen, it doesn't feel as much with Darren. All I know up here, if I go Masters racing up here in Ontario, anywhere, in the Briggs up here, the kids I'm racing against are the guys when I first started in this sport. As a journalist, I covered them in like the cadet classes, right? And now I have to race against them in Masters. That makes me feel old. Not so much Darren Marcus. I can live with that one. Darren was at least a teenager. It's the kids I got to race against to drive me crazy.
Yeah. So Marcus bounced back from engine issues on Saturday, was able to win the pre-final and the final, driving away from Roberts and Kopp to join them on the podium to complete the podium. Mardan was able to secure enough points to claim the championship and the IAME ticket. So he'll round out the USPKS team and join Team USA.
Pretty cool deal for Laurentiu Mardan. Of course, he launching the Technokart USA program, bringing the Techno back. You look at some of the guys that have run Technos in years past, like Jensen Button. It's cool to see him get that championship right out of the box with the Techno. They're able to get a title in the USPKS. I think that's a cool deal for Laurentiu Mardan. All right, folks, we got 1, 2, 3 more classes still to come, I believe. Stick with us. When we get back after this break, we're going to continue with the TB Kart USA Race Report for episode number 30 of the EKN Debrief. Cometic Gasket is a leading worldwide supplier of gaskets and engine sealing solutions for karting, automotive performance, power sports, original equipment, and the remanufactured engine industries. Cometic karting gaskets are available as OE replacement top-end kits or as individual gaskets and seals. Just like competitive karters, Cometic can operate on the fly and has the unique capability to customize any gasket to meet specific engine requirements and clearances. All of Cometic's fiber materials are asbestos-free and do not require any additional sealants. Viton oil ring cylinder head seals are used in each 2-cycle kit, and Cometic's 4-cycle engine kits feature only the most advanced multi-layer steel head gaskets. Cometic can tailor to engine builder-specific needs through bulk ordering and packaging flexibility. Cometic gaskets are must-haves for championship-winning teams across multiple disciplines of both professional and amateur motorsports. Cometic Gasket, sealing championships since 1989. Looking for that extra edge? Comet Racing Engines is your answer. The engine service program from Comet Kart Sales has been winning from coast to coast at all levels and different forms of the sport. Lead engine builders Mark Harrison and Gary Lawson have decades of karting experience, providing racers the power to reach the top step of the podium. Comet Racing Engines continually perform track and dyno tests to provide their customers with the cutting edge in engine performance. Comet specializes in Yamaha KT100, IAME Swift, IAME X30, IAME Leopard, and Rock engines. Trackside and customer support are the cornerstones of the Comet Racing Engines business, ensuring each and every customer receives personal attention and the help they need to achieve the best results. Engine rentals are available at all the events that Comet attends in 2018, including WKA, SCUSA, USPKS, and the Route 66 Sprint Series. Contact the Comet team today at cometkartsales.com or by calling 317-462-3413. If you're looking to step up your engine program, send it to Comet Racing Engines. Welcome back to the EKN Debrief here on the EKN Radio Network. Again, David Cole breaking down the finale for the United States Pro Kart Series, the Hoosier Grand Prix from Newcastle Motorsports Park. Do want to remind you, if you have not yet done this, download the EKN Radio Network app for your mobile device to be able to get the network 24/7 anywhere you are. Plus, make sure that you subscribe to us on iTunes as well. That way, you'll get all the podcasts. We put these podcasts on the radio network first. First opportunity, of course, through the radio network, and then they become available on the podcast. You can get them on the website as well. All right, David Cole, let's rock and roll and wrap things up here.
Well, next on the docket is the KA100 Senior Division. Great racing all weekend long in this category. With really, there was no way to kind of gamble on who was going to be able to come out as a winner each day. Point leader Zach Hollingshead was able to recover from poor qualifying to go nearly from last to first on the day. Zach stole the victory in the final ahead of Mike McAndrews and Colton Ramsey. Sunday saw Josh Holtz earn fast time in qualifying, with McAndrews taking the pre-final win. Ramsey, however, was able to lead wire to wire in the final. And, it was kind of like a battle of who was going to be in second so they could jump over Ramsey. Well, nobody could stay in second long enough to do that. So Ramsey was able to just fend off everybody and hold on for his first series victory. Hollingshead was able to secure the second spot and earn the title and become first senior rookie with a title. And McAndrews ended up finishing that final in third.
David, 22 drivers for this final race, 17 in the opener, 22 in round 2 and 22 in round 3. The KA100 most definitely laying down some roots in the USPKS. You got to believe that class is going to be 30 plus next year.
Yeah, last year's numbers were kind of skewed because they had the first 20 drivers get a free engine if they paid for all four entry fees. So this year it's on its own and obviously proved to be a worthy category. And I think you're going to see a lot of the, some of the local club drivers that race Yamaha looking at this engine package and looking at this series as, man, that to have, say 9 drivers, I think were in the lead pack at one time on Sunday, to be able to race in something like that is pretty cool.
I love it. That's what we need, man. We've talked about the KA100. You believe in the Yamaha. I love the Yamaha. People still love the Yamaha, but it just doesn't seem to have that panache right now where people are, want to run it on the regional / national level, right? It doesn't seem to have people excited. This is exciting people, and it's providing that gap, that engine that we need between 206 and the X30 or any of the top tag engines, right? So it's getting in there, and it's the price point's there, the performance is there, the reliability is there. I just think we're going to see this engine continue to get more and more popular, and just get more drivers jumping on board.
Yeah, definitely. As you said, the price point and the performance of the engine is in between the tag engines, or the 125cc tag engines, and the Briggs engine for sure. So and then again, now we're having the junior categories build up, and so when those drivers start building up, they can then move up in the senior, which the fields become even bigger. So it's definitely has room for potential.
Well, and the interesting thing, and it may not be across the board, this isn't a blanket statement, but the cool thing about it, if you're a driver in 206, or you're a driver potentially in KA100, because of its affordability, you're probably not moving on to cars, for the most part, right? You may look at it, but you may not have the funding to be able to jump into a $250,000 program to go run cars. It's that expensive. So the juniors you see in KA100 will probably be a senior in KA100 as well. At least a majority of them, I would think.
For sure, yeah. And we even saw a couple drivers try to do both IME Junior and KA100 Junior, but it's such a big gap difference with the performance, because one, you're on different tires, a slower engine, so it doesn't really help you to do both. I mean, it can help a new person if they choose to, just to kind of learn a racetrack. We see that with Zachary Hollingshead. We ran IME Senior and KA100 Senior. So it kind of helped him learn the track a lot more to do both. But chassis-wise and driving-wise are two completely different styles.
All right, let's speaking of KA100, let's wrap it up. You gave us the whole lowdown on Senior. What transpired in the junior category?
Well, Jacob Graham became the inaugural class champion. As we said, this is the first year that they had the junior category at USPKS. Graham was able to win on Saturday, joined by Eric Evans and Spencer Lofton on the podium. Sunday, Garrett Adams actually took the checkered flag in the main event, but a bumper penalty dropped him to third, something we've seen with Austin Garrison twice this year, so nothing new there. His penalty gave Hayden Jones his first series victory, and also moved Max Opolsky up into the second spot on the podium.
Nice. So KA100, a pretty good run, as you said, Jacob Graham. Congratulations on winning that inaugural class championship for KA100 Junior. Let's wrap up the race report, again brought to you by TB Kart USA with MicroSwift.
Well, you may have heard this name before. Ben Mayer. I'm not sure. Are you familiar with it? Okay.
Yeah. So, I think I've heard of him.
So Ben Mayer was able to earn his third and fourth wins on the season at USBKS to earn the title. Mayer swept on Saturday, joined by Hoyt Moore and Spencer Conrad on the podium. On Sunday, Mayer kind of struggled a little bit, but found his way to the front in the final and was able to claim the victory ahead of Moore and Artin Grimm. So it was another good weekend for him.
So Ben Mayer. Is it one race weekend this year where he hasn't got at least one win? Just one, right? Otherwise, this kid has won at least one main event at every race he's been at so far this year. And now we're rolling into August. Of course, the first half of the season is essentially done. That just blows my mind, because there is a ton of talent in this MicroSwift category as well. And for him to have that kind of consistency of being able to win races, that's pretty damn impressive.
Well, again, like we talked about with Jace Park, I think it's just he's obviously comfortable in the kart. He's in the kart nearly every weekend. So it's kind of like the Brent Cruz thing. You're in the kart every weekend, all the time, driving something. I believe he's starting to drive some dirt stuff coming up soon. So, the kid just loves to get behind the wheel and drive anything. And,
you know what kind of reminds me of, David? Back in the day, in the 2000s, when Sage Karam was running in cadet, and it almost seemed like at the starts of karting events, he would just win at will. You know what I mean? He'd get himself to second spot, and you just knew the move was coming somewhere on the final lap, and he'd make the move for the lead and go on to win. It was just such a level of comfort and confidence with Sage at that point in his career. And it kind of seems like Ben's that same way. He's just so comfortable. Like you said, lots of seat time, and so comfortable with his team, with his kart, with his engine package, the confidence. It just seems like he's just, will make that run for the lead eventually sometime during the weekend.
Yeah. David Malukas, Brandon Lemke, Dylan Tavella, same type of driving styles where they don't beat up their equipment. They find the right positions they need to be in. And if they make a mistake, they bounce back really quick. So, definitely he'll be one to watch in the coming years for sure.
So, folks, David Cole is just giving you essentially a full breakdown of the USPKS finale, the Hoosier Grand Prix at Newcastle Motorsports Park. Of course, that season event wrapping up at the end of July. This is episode number 30 of the debrief. So we're going to cap it off. We were just looking back. Now we're going to look forward. This is the EKN Trackside Live race calendar presented today by Precision Karting Technologies. With over 40 years of manufacturing experience, Precision Karting Technologies is the leader in American-made components. They produce high-quality products led by their full line of chromoly and mild steel axles. Metric or imperial, standard or custom, they have what you need. Collars, keys, bearings, they're the source for axle components in the USA. With over 70 dealers throughout the USA and Canada, it's easy to choose PKT. Family-owned and operated, proudly made in the USA. All right, David, I hazard to say that we're kind of getting close to the stretch run of the EKN Trackside Live Tour for 2018. We've got, 5 events still to go to get us through to the Streets of Lancaster Grand Prix. Then we got a bit of a gap. I think you have one more race to jump into in October, and then it's Super Nats. So we're definitely into the stretch run, but you and I both hitting the road on Thursday, August 10th, 11th, 12th, the finale for the SuperKarts USA Pro Tour, the Summer Nationals at Newcastle. I think you told me, 239 pre-entries, something like that?
Yep, 239 pre-entries. Lots of IAME senior and IAME junior drivers. A little bit of a struggle with the stock Honda categories, as we've mentioned throughout the year, but actually S2 looks to be up this weekend, so that's a good positive for that.
Nice.
But overall, it's going to be a long, but thankfully, I don't think it's going to be too hot of a weekend.
David's going to get a couple of weekends off. I'm out to a wedding after that. Then I go to the Road to Indy events and IndyCar events at Gateway. And then I go to Portland for IndyCar and the Mazda Road to Indy presented by Cooper Tires finale. I'm excited about that. The finale is going to be awesome. A lot of karters that we've watched come up through the ranks are going to be battling for championships in Portland. But David, little part of me, is going to be at Rock Island with you. You ready for that? Labor Day weekend, September 1st and 2nd, the Rock Island Grand Prix. Man, always a great event. Briggs, of course, Yamaha, Tag, Shifters, King of the Streets looks like it's dialing up again. Are you excited to get to Rock Island?
Definitely. I always look forward to hitting the Quad Cities. I haven't been to that steakhouse. I know I forgot when we mentioned it, but you mentioned it during the Industry Insider you had with Roger.
Yeah,
the steakhouse that we used to go to every Friday. So, but yeah, I really look forward to it. This is my 14th straight time going to Rock Island. So 2004 was my first year.
Wow.
So always look forward to it. See all the same people that race there year in and year out, and definitely excited to be back there with Tim Coyne on the mic again as well too.
Yeah, Tim has stepped up and taken over the mic. He's the voice of the Rock Island Grand Prix after I had to leave to go do my Road to Indy stuff. But I'm sure you guys will have a blast. A couple of weeks off after that, David, for you. September 14th, 15th, 16th, WK Manufacturers Cup. Hey, at Newcastle again.
Yeah, well, again, if you don't go to Newcastle 3 times in a year, you're making a big mistake, right?
Oh man, yeah.
So
Man Cup.
Yep, it'll be my 3rd trip there. Let's see who will be on. Eric Brennan will be on the mic that weekend. It's not the series finale, so it'll be an interesting weekend because school has started. So I'm not sure how big of a weekend it will be, but again, could be wrong. Maybe people will want to be there. Not sure. I really, that event kind of scares me, to be honest.
Yeah, I know. It'll be interesting. As you said, there's just so many races, 6 races in the Manufacturers Cup. You've talked about it many times about how there's just too many races. One thing I didn't mention, and it's not on our official EKN Trackside Live tour, but the week before that, which will be the 7th or the 8th and 9th, I believe, of September. I'm working on it now. I may be heading back to Bermuda. Skitchy Barnes wants me to come out and race again and potentially announce their opening round of their series. So I could be at Bermuda to do a little racing out there at their track. I think it's called Rubis Southside Speedway.
I'm really
but what I am
to like you.
What's that? Yeah, it's going to be a struggle heading out there to Bermuda. Have a couple of rum swizzles. Maybe Monday jump on to Skitchy's boat, the Hakuna Matata, do some fishing. It'll be tough, Dave.
Yeah, really starting not to like you. You know who's a great fisherman
or fisherwoman then, right?
Exactly. My daughter. She caught 6 of them during vacation.
What?
They weren't bigger than my hand, but she caught
Good
6
for her.
of them.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So the week after you're at Manufacturers Cup, I'm heading back south. The finale for the Texas Pro Kart Challenge. Again, the Dallas Karting Complex in Caddo Mills. Track's had a lot of big events. Dave, Superkarts USA Pro Tour, Rotax Grand Nationals. I'm excited to get there. I'm really enjoying being part of this Texas Pro Kart Challenge. A lot of great drivers down there, and just a lot of passion. And I'll tell you, Gina and Mark French do a great job. They have a great crew. And back to Dallas, man. I'm excited. It'll be awesome. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, it'll be an easy weekend for you, being just one day of racing.
Sure enough, it's a Saturday, Sunday, and I like what they've done. That's what they've done this year to deal with kids in school. The first race was at the end of March. We were in Houston at Alan Rudolph's Speed Sports Racing Park. Practice Saturday, race Sunday. So you have drive-in Friday night, practice Saturday. You can drive home on Sunday night. Same thing. Now for the summer races, Friday practice, Saturday and Sunday, double weekend main events like so many big series do. We're back into the season here, September 23rd, 24th, Saturdays, or rather 22nd, 23rd, Saturday, Sunday, Saturday practice, Sunday race. I dig it. I think it's a great thing that they're doing to be able to make sure people aren't missing school for a regional program. I love it.
I wish more would do it.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. Now, David, after that, another Saturday and Sunday event, and the racing is awesome. But, dude, you have waited a long time. September 29th, 30th, Streets of Lancaster Grand Prix, and they have an In-N-Out there.
There's many
There's
In-N-Out
many
burgers
In-N-Out there.
from the airport to the racing facility.
I got to think.
That is the boulevard.
Dinner every night, probably, right?
At least, if not a lunch, maybe on Saturday too, or at least for, depending on when we get there Friday.
Again, all these EKN Trackside Live events we're talking about is where David and I are doing a live broadcast with either me on the mic or Eric Brennan or Tim Coyne, whoever it may be, all, of course, live, available on EKN. You just got to go to ekartingnews.com/live, or you can get it on your mobile device as well. We're going to work potentially for next year to get it onto the EKN Radio Network app, make it a lot easier to be able to hear all of our broadcasts. But again, that is the EKN Trackside Live race calendar brought to you by Precision Karting Technology, Streets of Lancaster. Always love that event, David. I haven't seen the schedule, but I'm assuming they're going to do what they did last year. X30 Senior and the S1 and S2 shifter guys under the lights on Saturday night. Place is packed. Everybody's loving it. Nothing like shifter cars under the lights.
Very cool atmosphere. And I keep saying I wish more cities like that would get behind karting, because it's not only a great revenue stream, but it's a great way to bring the community together and to bring people from outside the community into the area and spending lots of money and having a good time and wanting to be there again year after year.
Yeah, obviously a big chunk of money coming into the hotels and restaurants and everything that we do when we're there. But yeah, David, we don't talk a lot about the Battle of the Boulevard, which is it's all the different people that raising money, and there's the companies are going head to head. They're doing a lot of team building. Of course, the cops and the firemen go head to head. in the Scusa's rental carts, the guns and hoses battle. Just a good set. It's a long day for us because we roll in there at 9 o'clock and we probably don't leave until 9 or 10 at night. But man, I love that event. I can't wait to get out there, and we love it. It hopefully won't be as hot as it has in years past. And then you get your in and out fix, which is a good deal.
It's a win-win for everybody.
Right by the airport too. Land, in and out, all weekend. Drive back, hotel, Sunday night, in and out burger on Sunday night. Heck yeah.
It's a win-win.
It's a win-win. All right, David, we're looking good here on time. Let's wrap up a quick wrap-up of the USPKS finale. Your thoughts overall on the season and the final race of the year.
Well, a big weekend to wrap up the 2018 season. We were able to award 4 drivers tickets to represent the USPKS and Team USA at the AMI International Final in France this October. And in total, we gave 7 drivers championships and added them to the history books as a USPKS champion. So, again, the championship weekend, always a great time with USPKS, and really looking forward to seeing what they have in store for 2019.
Agreed. I really, really hope they stick with the 3-race format. I think that's something moving forward that's going to be really good for them. But I think that they've got this great class structure, micro mini, KA for juniors and seniors, IAME for juniors and seniors and masters. It's just such a good, clean lineup of categories, similar to what they have at, obviously, the SCUSA Pro Tour. They just throw in the shifter kart classes as well. That we're at least getting to that place, David, where people are understanding that less is more in terms of class structure.
Oh, less is definitely more, Rob.
I brought that up for you, Dave. I know. Less is more in class structure. Less is more when it comes to racing numbers as well, because, club racing, regional and national, at every level, you've got to understand that there are drivers that want to straddle. There's club racers that want to race regionally. There's regional racers that want to race nationally. If you run too many races at your club level, you screw your members out of getting a chance to go challenge themselves against other club members at other clubs in regional racing. If you have too many regional races, you're just not going to get guys to come out because they're running on their clubs or they're running nationally already. You've got to be smart, and you have to have the right number of classes. David, we could have a whole podcast just on that ourselves.
Yeah, we'll do that in September or October, actually. October.
We will. There's going to be some new podcasts coming out, folks. We're going to have some roundtable podcasts in October, November, and December as we just continue to develop our EKN radio network. Well, David, thank you so much, buddy. I appreciate it. I know you had we put this on hold a bit while you took the family off on a vacation, much deserved, and I hope you had a good time hanging out at the beach, kind of unplugging from the sport because, dude, we're back into it this weekend. Straight in.
It's a long, we're almost eastbound and down, except there's not too much east. But
true. Westbound and down, right?
It's a lot of westbound, but looking forward to the upcoming schedule.
Folks, thank you for joining us here on the EKN Radio Network, episode number 30 of the EKN Debrief. Of course, David Cole giving us all the insight on the USPKS finale at Newcastle Motorsports Park. On behalf of David Cole, my name's Rob Howden. Bye for now.